Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Am I. My name is Joshua Ansley, and I am not coming to you from beautiful St. John. I'm coming to you from beautiful New Jersey, right? And it doesn't matter where we are. Really, if we get that from the inside, we could be anywhere and be totally happy. But let's be fucking realistic, right? It's fucking New Jersey. Okay, so I do love New Jersey. So last week I came to you from St. John. I want to continue on what I spoke about last week a little bit because I didn't get a chance to really get everything out that I wanted to because I was a little distracted. And if you don't know why, then you obviously didn't watch the video from last week. But continuing on, you know, unfortunately I don't have any titties out here or anything. Thought about maybe letting my left ball hang out a little bit. I decided against that. So I'm going for keep it clean. But I want to get back to judgment. All right. So last week, what I spoke a lot about was, you know, it was a little harsh. You know, sometimes they get like, take a look at yourself, take a look at yourself, and that's the whole idea of like Matthew 7:5 that I spoke a lot about last week. Of like, you know, you hypocrite. It says, you know, take the log out of your own eye before you worry about the speck in your brother's eye or whatever. Right. So, but recognizing that if we judge that much, and last week I spoke about, you know, if you judge it, if you spot it, you got it kind of thing. Like the odds are of all the things you could be looking at in the world, there's some reason why you'd be looking at the flaws of someone else, right? And maybe it's because it's a reflection of you that you're just not willing to look at. And you can't really look at. It's hard to get that objective. But aside from judging other people, which is just a fucking miserable way to live, it really just is, right? It's a controlling, stuck way to be. Right? Stuck in your way of the way you think it's supposed to be. And when you realize the layers that cross over, it's really about doing right things for wrong reasons, wrong things for right reasons. It's so complex when you step out of your own bullshit and stop thinking about that how other people should behave, even if it's something that seems totally logically right. It's outside of this right and wrong, okay? And really the big thing is if you're that critical on other people, then trust me, you are brutally judgmental and critical of yourself. And that is just no way to live. Right? Now the mind will try to tell you other things. You have to fight this hard, you have to do this, you should be this, and blah, 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 and all this bullshit, right? And there's a lot of even programs out there and people and motivational speakers that will get you, you know, like, if you don't want success as badly as you want to breathe, you know, and all this kind of shit. And hey, that's great for some people, because maybe some people need that kick in the ass a little bit, right? But I will tell you, for somebody like myself, it's like, hey, whoa. Because I'm ready to tear the fuck out of myself all the time. I beat myself up mercilessly. Right? So I'm very critical of myself, and I'm very judgmental. I have a very critical inner parent, as they say. I'm not going to get into that too much, but because it comes from, there's a reason why you have the critical inner parent, and it comes from the outside sources, right? But that just happens. That happens. It's like this idea of perfectionism, right, is something that I really struggle with, about having to be perfect. And, you know, I have developed a really fantastic man. I really have. I've done a lot of work on this guy. Unfortunately, I was really doing all this work on this guy so that he would be so perfect, so that no woman would ever leave him or nobody would ever be mad at him because he was so fucking perfect. How could you be? And that is not a way to live, right? That's not a reason for doing all those things. Fortunately, I've forged a pretty fucking badass man out of that. So again, it's not black and white. Good things come out of the bad things come out of the good, you know? So, but ultimately, I am really working on being not critical on myself, not being so fucking brutal with myself and judgmental on myself, right? Because truthfully, I'm really not that judgmental of other people. Or am I? But I know that I'm ready to tear the fuck out of myself, right? And I put so much pressure on myself. And really, the way to get what I need and want in this life is to actually learn how to accept myself exactly as I am. When I do that, when I learn how to love and respect myself, first of all, then it allows me to love and respect and accept other people for exactly as they are, right? Which is so fucking difficult at times. Because especially when you take that spiritual path and you find a way that really works, you think that you know how it should be. I think everybody should be fucking vegan, and I think everybody should be, you know, forgiving everybody else, and they should be doing exactly what I have found. And that's fucking ridiculous, because everybody needs to work on whatever the hell they need to work on. So these layers that come over, if we start judging other people and judging ourselves, first of all, we may not do the things we need to do in this life, because there may be a stage in life that is actually one where we might need to do something that we have judged harshly against because of our lack of understanding before. And when we get into a new place in our lives, we may need to be able to step into places that we have judged. And if we don't do that, if we're not allowing ourselves to do that, then we're not going to grow, right? Because it is all about how we relate to the world. It's not the world, right? So it's how we relate to the action. It's not even the action. So when we recognize on deeper levels, I don't know, can I give an example here? So maybe an example is, what we consider loving and caring for somebody else, right? Example of tough love. And this works out with judgmental perfectly. Like, because there may be a space where we need to actually, in our own growth, step into a space of not giving and caring so much, right? Effectively out in the external world. So giving of ourselves and giving. We may need to actually set boundaries as a healthy space of self-care and not be there for somebody when they're begging and pleading because they've used that as a manipulation your whole life to keep you down, right? Fear says, I will keep you safe. Love says you are safe. So we may need to actually to take care of ourselves and to do the healthiest possible thing for the most amount of people, walk away from a situation and not just keep giving. So this is where we get into understanding one of the big things when I talk about judging, and people will be like, you need to judge situations and see, because otherwise you'll get into unhealthy relationships and this and that and that. There is a difference between judgment and assessment. Okay? So it's not just semantics, but we need to make this distinction. This is very important. Judgment is coming from a space of thinking that you know what is best, that you think someone should be operating a certain way, even if it's relating to you. So if you're in a relationship with somebody and you judge somebody for how they're treating you in the relationship, right? Or what they're doing with their lives or how they're operating. Now that comes from a place of superiority. That comes from a place of thinking that you know better. And what that does is gives us this air of superiority, and it comes into a space where we think we know best for somebody else. And it comes into a space of resentments, and it comes into frustration because it's a control issue. It's a control issue that you think someone else should be operating a certain way. They are not going to. So give up that control. The only thing you have control over is yourself, your actions and reactions, right? So now assessment is being able to look and discern in a situation what is going to be healthy for you and what is not, right? So an assessment would be, this is an unhealthy situation for me, this is an unhealthy relationship, this is going to drag me down, this is an emotional vampire, or whatever the heck it is, right? If we need to step away from that, then we can step away from that without judgment in our hearts. We can step away from that with love and forgiveness in our hearts. It's detaching with love. It is learning that we don't have to love. When I talk about unconditional love, some people will be like, well, then I've just stayed in unhealthy relationships where I've given, and I've never gotten anything back. I was like, but that's not unconditional love. That's just not taking care of yourself, right? That is allowing yourself to be drained, not making a proper assessment because you're maybe afraid to judge, right? So you didn't make an assessment. That when we look at people in the world, we look at, we know how to relate to kittens, we know how to relate to puppies, and then we know how to relate to tigers, and we know how to relate to crocodiles, right? We have to recognize from a proper assessment that there are people that are kittens, there are people that are puppies, and there are people that are crocodiles, and there are people that are tigers. So we can't just think everybody is the same. We talk about that space that everybody is the same in that self. Yes, that same self runs through every sinner and every saint. But in this world of duality, which we are undeniably in, you cannot deny this world of duality. This is just my opinion, right? Is that that's about heaven on earth, is getting ourselves to that space of wholeness and completeness. And that space of wholeness and completeness is not in judgment. It is in objectivity. It is not in the world of duality. It does not live in right and wrong, good and bad. From that space of wholeness and completeness, we make a proper assessment of this dualistic world and not remain in judgment. So we may need to forgive and love from a distance, be like, yo, you're fucked up and I need to step the hell away from this situation, but I'm gonna love for you and I'm gonna love you and I'm gonna pray for you, right? That you heal, because this has nothing to do with them. This isn't, well, I was raped or I was this and that, I was, my somebody was murdered or I was abused in this way, so I have justifiable anger. Look, feel whatever you need to feel, get through the anger. But if you continue to hold on to that space, it is only hurting you. Period. End of story. No matter what atrocity has happened to you. And it's a long, difficult process to come into love from that kind of abuse or that kind of trauma. So I'm not just telling you to be like this and be done with it. So we need to properly assess situations, remove ourselves from it, and then for your own sake, move into love. Not for the sake of the perpetrator. Whatever has happened, it is not denying. We think if we forgive what somebody has done, that we are excusing their behavior. Abso-fucking-lutely not. And we think if we say like everyone's going to behave exactly like they are going to behave according to their vasanas, which is the makeup of who we are, and according to their conditioning, that we are excusing their behavior and we just let anybody do whatever the hell they want. No, we don't. We take action from a place of assessment without judgment, because recognizing that they are sick people maybe. They're very sick people that need help. And if you treat them as a sick person, you will get away from them and you will have compassion and love for them. God forgive them, for they know not what they do. And that is a way to step out of judgment and keep yourself in a higher vibrational frequency so that you live in a higher state, that you can move towards heaven on earth. This has nothing to do with them. So when you step out of judgment and criticism of the way you think other people should be, you are elevating yourself. You are stopping your control issues. And when you surrender your control of even the way you think you should be, because all that is conditioning and bullshit too. All the space of love and unconditional love and trust and caring is all outside of your own thoughts, your own opinions, your own belief systems, right? It's all outside of the mind. The mind is judgmental. The mind lives in that duality. So step out into that judgmental place, step into love, but take care of yourself. Know how to protect yourself from a sense of strength, boundaries, stability. Keep your distance, but keep love in your heart. And that is how we step into a higher space in our lives. In Lakesha Lakin, I am you, you are me. Namaste. Where the titties at? Where the titties at? What? Too much?